you roll out austerity throughout a whole country, not only do you cause massive social problems, as we see, but actually it is massively economically counterproductive as well.
This is happening in a number of universities across the country, and at the moment it's happening in the context of administrative services, IT, library and other services. For example, there's a protest in Falmouth and Exeter going on at the moment in relation to the outsourcing of jobs there within the administrative sector. The key issue, I think, is also the fact that it won't stop here. So Universities UK, in their report of 2011, suggested that the outsourcing of administrative functions of the university was only the first phase, and the second phase would be the outsourcing of the academic functions of the university, i.e. the unbundling of lectures and seminars. So whereas lectures might still be given by academics within the universities, the seminars would be conducted through a private for-profit company offering tutorial support, for example. Now this hasn't happened yet, but this is what's being planned for within Universities UK themselves.
I mean, you can definitely draw links to wider processes happening around the country and around the world around how we deal with public utilities and how we provide public services. I think one of the interesting things that the campaign has articulated so well is that this is an issue around managerial power and the layer of kind of bureaucratic management of frontline staff, where frontline staff are no longer trusted to do the job, and instead it's always these new diktats coming from up above, and we see that in the NHS, and we see that happening here. And there's this idea that what is good for management is to have this one big sell-off, which they can then claim as their own, success story, which then they move on after 5 years to a new institution where they can repeat this. I think it's either Duffy or Farthing who's come from another university where he's undergone a similar thing, and you're seeing these managerial kind of groups move from one body to the next body to the next body, selling off in the name of immediate kind of upfront capital creation, a service, and then leaving it to the rest of the frontline staff to go and pick up the pieces. So in that sense, I do see it as a kind of a managerial move, which is something that campaigns articulated, I think, quite well. It's not just in the public sector and kind of semi-public sector you're seeing this. One of the interesting things with the financial crisis was that it was the senior management level of banks which took on the kind of decisions that led to the financial crisis, and yet now, in HBOS for example, it's the frontline staff, the ones who serve at the banks that we go to, and the cashier staff who are facing the brunt of the cuts, while the managerial layer walks away with their enormous bonuses. And it's that kind of trend that's replicated across both public and private bodies.
So the media attention that we've received, the early day motion with 25 MPs, the vast outcry across the country in support of the students and staff campaigning against privatisation at Sussex has been incredible, and that's all thanks to the occupation. We wouldn't be doing this film right now if it wasn't for the occupation. And I just came back from the National Union of Students conference that finished yesterday, and the amount of support for the Sussex occupation was incredible. You'd have people from unions all across the country coming up to you and being like, oh, how can we support what you guys are doing at Sussex? I think it's incredible. I think it's so inspiring, etc., etc. And I think that's something in a national context that we have to bear in mind, is that privatisation isn't just relevant to Sussex University, and we need to address the serious democratic deficit that most universities in the country have. I think the student reaction has very much been reflective of the good relationship and the concern that students have for the staff that provide these essential services. And so throughout this process it's been a series of dialogues between students and staff to see what they want out of the student opinion and movement. And we've had, since September, we were having weekly meetings between students and staff, and sometimes they would have 70 people, sometimes they would have 20, depending on the week. But continuously, it was students reaching out to staff and saying, well, what do you want us to do? Throughout the entire year, it's been, please support us as much as possible. Talk to journalists, talk to MPs, talk to anyone that can actually spread the word about what is going on. And I think it was really with the occupation that we managed to reach that staff desire to its full extent. I mean, getting that early day motion in Parliament with 25 MPs has been insane. It's
The Stop Privatisation campaign at the University of Sussex is made up of all manner of different people. There's this myth that it's made up of a small minority of students who are like full-time activists.
These people are primarily students, but they're also members of faculty. They are members of the 235. It is an eclectic group from different courses, from different backgrounds, from different ages, from different political ideologies that have come together over the same subject. They want to save what Sussex is and what makes Sussex great, and that's the Sussex community.
I'm absolutely amazed by the campaign. I think the student campaign has been something that's inspired a lot of people. I know it's the kind of talk of the office often, what's happening about these people, but I think the students in the campaign have shown an incredible determination, incredible creativity with their campaign, and what they've done is opened a whole community of people. I'm speaking to people that normally I would only speak to through my job, and it's created this whole sense of belonging too, and I imagine within the student group that's very, very strong, because they've appeared to be enormously supportive of each other. So to have this sense of community back, it's a bit like, you know, when you're in darkness and somebody shines a torch, that your kind of attention is focused on what the torch is showing. But in a weird way, it also reminds you of the darkness that you're actually standing in. And it's had both those effects. So it's kind of directed my attention to something that's happening here, but also directed my attention back to myself and how I am, so that I may have felt a bit like the people who sit in front of the television, and when something bad happens they will grumble at it, and somehow the grumbling about it is enough. It's confirmed that I'm an alright kind of person to have this view, but it's suddenly kind of woken me up as well, and I've started looking around at other issues as well. I've never had such a positive feeling when I come in on a Monday morning. You know, I'm pretty grouchy on a Monday morning, but I really want to be here to see what's happening. And I think a lot of us who work here and are part of this community just owe them a great vote of thanks, really.